Hey, this is Nicky G and welcome to Better Commander. Today we're talking cards you should consider for your Mimeoplasm Commander decks. In 2018, thereabouts, I bought myself a copy of the Commander Anthology box set. I believe it was the second one. Inside were treasures beyond human comprehension, but chief among them was a card called the Mimeoplasm. I was back then, and am still, really blown away by how cool this card is. It's a juiced up reanimation spell that I can use in Scion of the Dragon to copy huge dragons and make them bigger. That's currently what I use it for. Alright, let's read this stinky ooze. The Mimeoplasm is 2 black, green, and a blue. For a legendary creature, it's an ooze. As the Mimeoplasm enters the battlefield, you may exile 2 creature cards from graveyards. If you do, it enters the battlefield as a copy of one of those cards with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on it equal to the power of the other card. It is a 0/0. Yeah, so this bad boy just got a reprint with some fancy new art, and it's only about $2 for a full art copy at the time of this recording. So let's talk about it. But first, give a little gentle caress to the subscribe button so you can see all these stupid videos I spend my time doing. I had a Mimeoplasm deck back in the old days, and it was a fantastic, very strong commander. It was an unusual Voltron Reanimator deck that was pretty resilient as it relied upon the graveyard. One of the chief conceits of this deck is to get cards into the graveyard, and we're right in the colors to do that. So Silverglade Pathfinder, I don't know if you've ever seen this thing before. It's 1 and a green for a creature, Dryad Spell Shaper. It also has 1 and a green and tap, discard a card, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. This is a great budget include with amazing art by RK Post, one of my all-time favorite MTG artists. This allows us to pitch our fatties into the yard in exchange for a rampant growth type effect. How about Krosan Tusker? It's 5 green for a creature, Boar Beast. It's a 6/5. It also has cycling for 2 and a green. Discard this card, draw a card. So when you cycle this, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So basically you're drawing 2 cards. How about this thing? It definitely looks like a Boar Beast. Costs about 6 cents, gets us a land, and puts himself in the yard for 3 mana. Scion of Darkness, yeah, 5 black for a creature avatar. It's a 6/6 with trample. Whenever Scion of Darkness deals combat damage to a player, you may put target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. This also has cycling 3, so you're probably never going to hardcast this, but it puts itself in the yard for 3 mana. Makes a great Mimeoplasm target to become a copy of. The Mimeoplasm comes out of the yard saying, "I'll be back." How about Titanoth Rex, 7 green for a creature, dinosaur beast with trample. It also has cycling for 1 and a green. When you cycle it, you can put a trample counter on target creature you control. This is an 11/11. Dang, cycle this guy, give some fat monster trample. I love this thing for 25 cents, even though it may have a slightly inflated sense of self-importance. So what if you're running combo or you want to get some specific creature into your graveyard? Well, you got to take a look at Gerard's Orders, you silly goose. It's 2 and a black and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards and reveal them. Put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard, then shuffle. You can get a reanimator creature like Phyrexian Delver and whatever big fat monster you want to throw in the yard, or you can get one of our cycling fatties and just put it there later. How about Final Parting? Kind of a similar card for 3 black. It's a sorcery. Search your library for 2 cards. Put 1 into your hand and the other into your graveyard, then shuffle. Get whatever you need into the yard and pull up Reanimate or Animate Dead and get them right back out of the yard onto the battlefield. Plus you got this beautiful art of Liliana just walking through a field and somebody's waving goodbye. Alright, so we're filling our yard, but we definitely want to run some recursion, graveyard interaction. So cards like Body Double are a must, along with cards like Eternal Witness. But have you ever seen a card called Seasons Past? Ever see this dope card? It's 4 green for a sorcery. Return any number of cards with different mana values from your graveyard to your hand. Put Seasons Past on the bottom of its owner's library. Well, it's $2. You should run it in a self-mill deck as an alternative to a big draw spell. Our commander is 100% going to need some evasion, so consider Brawn. Brawn is 3 and a green for a creature. It's an incarnation 3/3 with trample. As long as it's in your graveyard and you control a forest, creatures you control have trample. Wonder is Brawn's best buddy, his blue friend that can grant flying, and is great also in the Mimeoplasm as long as you have an island, baby. Now keep in mind the Mimeoplasm is going to be a lightning rod for removal because it's going to be knocking people out of the game pretty quick. So Swiftfoot Boots, Lightning Greaves are really good includes as we can immediately swing with them and it grants some protection. So what are some good creatures that we want the big green guy to enter the battlefield as? How about Prime Speaker Zagana? It's 2 green green blue blue for a legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, it enters with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control. So when this enters the battlefield, draw cards equal to its power. So if we need cards or want to feed the yard, we can draw a ton with Zagana, having the Mimeoplasm enter the battlefield as a copy of it. How about Plated Crusher? Yeah, it's 4 green, green, green for a creature beast. It's a 7/6 with trample and hexproof. So this guy brings his own protection and evasion, and he's a big beater. So entering the battlefield as a copy of this guy will grant the Mimeoplasm at least a little bit of protection. And have you ever met my old buddy, the Spine Biter? This thing's got no eyes, it's all mouth. 4 green, green for a creature, Phyrexian beast. It's a 3/4 with infect. You may have it assign combat damage as though it weren't blocked. If we can get this guy's power to 10 or greater, we can start picking off our enemies. This guy is only 44 cents and is a really heavy hitter in Mimeoplasm. Now we go from Spine Biter to Simic Sky Swallower. I don't know where they come up with these names. Like, how do you bite somebody's spine? How do you swallow the sky? So 5 green and blue for a creature, Leviathan. It's a 6/6 with flying and trample. It also has Shroud. So this has flamps, it has plamps, it has dramps. This can beat in for a real chunk of life. So what are some other cards to consider? Well, you're probably going to need a board wipe, so Life's Finale is 4 black black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures, then search target opponent's library for up to 3 creature cards and put them into their graveyard. That player shuffles. If we get behind, this fills everybody's yard with whatever's on the battlefield, then we can get some monsters out of our opponent's deck to feed the Mimeoplasm. Just target the person who you think has the biggest monsters. Remember, we can use creatures from any graveyard with the Mimeoplasm's ability. So if we ever get into a position where we've milled a bunch of big fat monsters, we can use cards like Twilight's Call to get them all back. I never understood what the heck's going on in this art. It's just a dude with some armor just kind of shouting into the wind. So Living Death is also great for this as well, especially if our board is empty. We just bring everything right back. A couple cards you might want to consider using for their counters or to copy are Consuming Aberration and Lord of Extinction. The ability that defines their power and toughness applies in all zones. So if you can get this into your graveyard, it still has the power and toughness that it says on the card. So it doesn't just count when it's on the battlefield. These are awesome cards in this deck. There's one piece of advice I give to everyone who's graduating college right now: invest in some Momoa, whatever it is. But I invested in a bunch of Hermit Druids and now they're worth about $10. So this really isn't a budgeting clue, but it's a very powerful card if your opponents leave it hanging around. So it's 1 and a green for a creature, Human Druid. It's a 1/1. It has green and tap. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a basic land card. Put that card into your hand and all other cards revealed this way into your graveyard. So basically you're getting a land out of the deal, and whatever else goes into the graveyard is just gravy, baby. I also want to give one special shout out to my special card. This is a horribly broken card. It's on the reserve list for Mirage. I own 2 of them. One of them is so beat up, it's not even major play condition. It's like damaged. Phyrexian Dreadnought is 1 generic mana for an artifact creature. Phyrexian Dreadnought, it's a 12/12. So it has trample. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you sacrifice any number of creatures with total power 12 or greater. This card is $100, but you know what? Just proxy it. I won't tell anybody. This card can just pop itself into the yard for 1 mana if you cast it from your hand. Then exile it for 12 +1/+1 counters to put on the Mimeoplasm, you silly goose. Anyway, I have a deck list up and I think it probably needs a lot of tuning. It's a copy of one of my old deck lists with some updated lands and stuff. This commander is really fun to play. It can be a really nasty combo commander as well if you want to get really fancy with it. So check out some of the cards that I have in the deck list, and happy brewing to you. This is going to get your creative juices flowing on this fine Monday afternoon or whatever the heck it is. This is going to be Nicky G from Better Commander, signing off.